Mr. President, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
When you look at the current economy of Mexico and then you go around to the BRIC countries, India is an emerging player in the market along with China. You said that Indians have invested in the IIT kind of education system 50 years ago and they reap the benefits nearly 50 years later. This is something that Mexico and other countries should adopt for the future generations. Just wanted an elaboration on that particular point.
Well, yes. I guess behind the IIT experience is focus. So what India did is to focus on one strategy. And that's what I think we should do in Mexico. And instead of focusing on energy and the oil, we should be focusing on IT, technology, and we should be focusing on education, which is the key element behind the IIT strategy. So India's massifying education, and that's the same thing we have to do in Latin America.
One other component where IITians have done really well, including other Indians, is if you look at Silicon Valley, there's enormous contribution to the startup culture, and now they've grown up the value chain to go to investing into startups in Silicon Valley, in the US and around the globe. So an element which is important is providing that impetus for the growth of entrepreneurial ecosystem. So your thoughts in the Latin American countries where, entrepreneurial ecosystem. So Chile has taken some steps, Brazil is trying to do some things, but there's more that needs to be done. So everybody tries to replicate the model of Silicon Valley, but nobody does it completely. So what components do you think can fit into the Latin American ecosystem in terms of entrepreneur?
Well, I think there are good examples of startups as an industry. For instance, the city of Guadalajara in Mexico, it's a cluster of technology, information technologies, software, manufacturing of electronics. So it's very complete. Now we're doing it in Guanajuato, in our place in Centro Fox. We have the fortune to be associated and working together with UST Global Corporation, the fastest growing IT company in the last 12, 14 years. And so now we're building there a cluster, a technological park, a venture that I'm sure that will go very strong into the future. Now, the examples, the benchmarks are the Bangalores, are the Silicon Valleys, are the Houstons, are the many other places. So now Latin America begins to show a capacity in this respect. Nothing I would like more than having an IIT presence in Mexico, an IIT meeting, either regional or national, to come to our place in San Cristobal at Centro Fox, because then we can nourish each other like we're doing between UST and their Indian employees coming to Mexico and working together with the Mexican engineers there. So it's fortunately this industry is not a closed industry and a extreme competitive industry in the sense of competing one with the other. It's very open to learn from the other. It's very open to make alliances one with the other, which, for instance, we don't have in Pepsi and Coke. When I was president of Coca-Cola, there the fight was all the way every day. So this industry is the industry of the future. I'm highly impressed with what I have seen here in Houston on this summit meeting with 1,500, 2,000 minds, thinkers, innovators that you have here, and it's really contagious. You really want to bring them to Centro Fox and have them there. So it's been a great surprise for me to be here, and I take back home the initiative of creating MIT, which is Mexico's Institute of Technology, so that we unite, so that we integrate in one big, strong, moving idea, instead of having so many universities so much diversity. We need a focus, as I began in this conversation.
As a leader of the country of Mexico, you have had the opportunity to be with the greatest leaders in the world. Now that you see the challenges that are, more economical than political on the global scene, where do you think that the global powers now, which are the the G20 and the emerging powers coming up, where do you see the struggle and where do you see the opportunity on the global scene?
Well, things have changed and have changed profoundly. There is this so-called shift to the east, very strongly moving finance capacities, moving resources, moving centers of power, moving markets that are grown extraordinarily, like China and India. And but we also have Latin America. Latin America is going to be very strong in this 21st century. So now we have these two engines of world economy, which is Latin America and which is the East, Asia, China, and the seven tigers of Asia. All the strong leaders, Europe and United States, seem to be tired, seem to not have the energy to keep growing at that pace. So we have to take the lead, and that's why I'm so profoundly committed with NAFTA, because I think that North America altogether, United States, Canada, and Mexico, can not only be the largest consumer market in the world, but can also be the largest economy and the leading driving force to the future. And Mexico is very close and is very integrated to North America. So things will keep changing, but at the very end, we're in a global village, and so everybody will have to do its own effort, and the effort of all of us together will bring us a better world. I see the future, the immediate future, as a renaissance, like we had in Greece with Plato and Cicero, and then we have in Florence a renaissance. This is the renaissance of technology, but also we should not forget about compassion, humanism, love, art, poetry, music, theater, painting, because that's part of the well-being and the aspirations of human beings, not only to make money, not only to have a job, but to have this well-being, to have this happiness, aspiration through this new world that is being created, this renaissance that is now on the move.
On a personal note, you have been the president of the biggest brand in the world, Coke, of Mexico. You've been the president of the country of Mexico. I wondered personally, what was the most enriching experience leading the two jobs? People, being together and close to people, serving people is my life, is my commitment, and so that's a key part. Now, together with people, the poor, the excluded. Technology gives us the opportunity to defeat poverty, to defeat hunger, to defeat ignorance, to defeat all the evils of this world. And this is what will happen in the 21st century, on this renaissance based on the cloud of knowledge accessible to every single human being, to the 8 billion people that we are in this globe. This not only accumulated knowledge, but also the orderly access to that knowledge. I think that we are the envy of the Platos, of the Ciceros, of the Michelangelos, of the Einsteins, or everybody. Today, every one of us has access to that package of knowledge and experience, and there's no limit to what is going to be happening in this 21st century. Mr. President, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure is mine.